So chat for a second about Bespin, just a couple of slides, but Ben and I created this in Mozilla Labs and quickly grew a nice community of a bunch of staff who are here, like Julian and Malta, and like a ton of people. There's like 20 committers at this point, I think. And we wanted to build this editor of our dreams that was totally accessible from anywhere, included any device in any location. We kind of played around a little bit about what would it be like if I'm on the beach, my boss calls me, I want to fix a bit of code, and I could quickly, on my iPhone or Pre, log in, have a little weird UI to kind of fix that bit of code, hit a button, and then keep going on our way. That was kind of like one of the visions. Also, going to a friend's house and being able to get your entire environment. We wanted it to be really simple, like TextMate, and not be this like really bulky IDE. And it was all about this performance that I talked about this morning. It's like, can we make this thing scale correctly? And then we wanted collaboration to be a key feature. If you're on the web, we want it to be very, very social. And so what does that mean? What would it mean for us to actually be able to write code together and do fun things? So we played around with even bringing kind of gaming functionality. So like the team leader kind of joins, builds a bunch of unit tests. You have to go off and like score points by implementing unit tests and stuff like that. And then making the command line kind of integrated. I love command lines. I love Quicksilver, Unix command lines. I wanted it kind of baked in to the system. And we had a Mozilla ubiquity and really wanted to kind of bake those together to be able to like just make it very easy to add functionality. And then to have this thing fully self-hosted, so just like I used to be a big Emacs user who like read my email through Emacs and all that crazy crap, and I want that. I want to be able to self-host it. I'm a web guy. I want the thing to be the web for me to be able to trick it out, because I'm hacking in this 8 hours a day, so I want to be able to make it exactly how I want it. So here's a little mock of some of the stuff that we had early on with the find file support and doing all this crazy stuff with Canvas. Julian actually implemented the first find files that was out there, and then collaboration, being able to go through here and have this is simulating one person added in a file versus the other one, and we ended up using something called MobWrite, which was done by a Googler, and it's a platform neutral solution for doing this collaboration stuff. And we've got people working like in the Eclipse Foundation to build support for it over there, and there's even someone doing a VI implementation. So we hope in the future you'll be able to collaborate. Someone can be on Bespin, someone can be on Eclipse, someone can be on VI or what have you, and just make it so you can just share code and see everything that's going on, including things like selection. And we had like autosave built in right from the beginning. So in our very first prototype, you could like start writing some code, go home, open it up, and it replay all of the things that you've done, so you always know you're in exactly the right place. And that's gone, and we'll hopefully be coming back again. And then we wanted to have a place to like goof around and play with new things. So this thing that looks like a defrag, what would it be like if we could visualize our project in different ways? So see who's working on what and what's happening in real time, and being able to like really kind of get an understanding for the holistic project as a whole, be able to search code across the entire project, across the whole company's projects, across open source. We just kind of felt like there hadn't been that much innovation in the IDE editor space, and we wanted to really have somewhere to kind of play around with this stuff. So this was going to be like, these are all like files in the project, and one of the last things that have been edited, and you mouse over, they tell you the last edits in those files. And just kind of playing around to see what kind of visualizations can we do to kind of show what's going on in a project.
This wasn't fun.
Right, yeah, exactly, yeah. And other people picked it up right away. On the first weekend, this guy Boris from the Eclipse Foundation took Eclipse, stripped off its head, ran it as a server, and put Bespin in front of it, and so that enabled Java compilation and get errors back in and stuff like that. Because we have, Bespin is like actually a whole bunch of stuff. There's just the editor component itself that you could use for anything. There's the server, which has an API, and then there's kind of the full Bespin experience or whatever that has the command line and everything else. within it, and of course everything's Mozilla fully open source, and we want people to start doing fun things with it, and that's already happened. XWiki built it in right away, so you can just edit using Bespin. You saw the Atlas guys have it. At Palm 2 days ago, we just kind of showed off a little bit a tool called Aries, which is a full WYSIWYG designer tool for aimed, kind of at the mobile web, but it could be used really for anything, where you can just kind of take your UI, build it all on, wire it together using Bespin. So that should be coming out pretty soon. It's pretty fun. And then what we really want to do in the future is also kind of do a lot more on the server side. And so what would it be like if we had server-side plugins, and this is where the common JS stuff can come in too, that enable us to do really, really powerful things on the server, and be running all of your JavaScript code so you know exactly what methods are available, because we can expect it at runtime, and take some of the Smalltalk stuff and build it in. So that's some of the stuff that we kind of, in Dreamworld really want to get to and kind of play with. But at this point, let's just kind of, oh, you got your thing back. Let's have Julian kind of give you a walkthrough in his world. So the current state of things are, we've got this Bespin reboot happening. We like to change the library that we use every few months. So we started off, ironically, we had a MooTools version, a prototype version, a Dojo version, and now we have Sprout Core going on now. And now it's going to be productized. I'll hand it to Julian.
Okay. So what I will show you is the actual version that you can also run on bespin.mozilla.org. And it's not the, it's the local version here because the Wi-Fi is not that speedy.
No, I mean, if you want to show code, you definitely have to change the code.
Set it to be the white theme.
Besides the comments, it's all right.
Okay, good. We got it. Okay. So this is the version where we were before we start the reboot progress. This reboot phase progress, we got the basic editor running. You can do some scrolling, but there's no real IDE, so I'm not showing you this. And our aim is to get to this one that you can see here now within the end of year, or maybe something beyond that. So the first thing that I show you of the editor is the editor itself. I mean, this here is a JavaScript file. You got a cursor, you just can type function, and you got basic highlighting, yeah. So word, basic highlighting. And it turns out if you want to implement that on HTML5, it's really simple because you can use canvas for this. It's just nothing then, well, okay, you have a syntax slider there to say, okay, you want function to be blue and some other text green or whatever. But if you have that, you just say, well, print that font with, well, that characters at that point, and then make a translation in X and Y for scrolling. That's all. The hard part is to get keyboard handling, mouse handling, copy, paste, undo, and all that stuff in there. So as you see, this file here is one of the basic files. This here is just keyboard handling, and there's some other setup, and it continues, and it continues, and it continues. This is about the cursor, focus management. And the real paint, so now we are in the paint function. Still surfing. Yeah, that's for breakpoints. And that's somewhere where magic come in. So real and then Viereck. Somewhere, yeah, here you set the font, and then you really say fill text, and everything else there's just for adjusting colors and whatever. But I mean, IDE is something more than just text editor. So most time we spend on working is doing other things. For example, in Bespin you also got a command line built in. It's really powerful. You got code completion. For example, you can type set, and it shows you settings that you already had. So you can set font size, and I want this to go to 8, and you see the font size changed. There are also some other nice stuff like, I want to follow someone. That's when you go to collaboration, and then, okay, you got share help, and you really got nice way to use this command and see the command and have feedback from it. But just command line is not enough. You also need something like to access files. So therefore, there's quick open. Please don't ask me why there's this gray shadow around. It should be transparent, but it's not. And with this quick search, you can really search over your entire project. For example, let's see, we go to something history.js. So this is the history code, and you can change file very fast. This one here, I mean, what do you think, what language is it used to implement this? Is it HTML? What do you think this one here is implemented of? So in fact, it's also Canvas. So you got here components. That's one of our underlying Canvas toolkits that we use, but we step away from that. You got this one to select files, but then you got an even powerful one, which is yes.
So you redid like the user integration everything in Canvas?
Yes. And, well, it's not the whole editor, but parts of it. So this one is Canvas purely. This one is Canvas, but for example, this is HTML. I mean, the border around here are rendered with Canvas, but inside it's HTML. It turns out you can do really great things if it comes to, if you use Canvas, for example, you can do slides, and then if you think, oh, well, I'll make this a little bit smaller, you can add columns in there to say, okay, it doesn't fit, but I make it some way fit in there. Yeah, it's written, so this was Ben's work, I guess, in most cases. It's called Thunderhead.
Yeah, so Ben wrote this this really cool library in the Swing community that like made building Swing apps really easy and dealt with a ton of little problems. And so he came over here and looked at Canvas and was like, I'm going to do this again in Canvas. And he did some pretty crazy shit to do this Thunderhead thing. The problem is that like the level of complexity as you add components just gets insane. And you know, some of the other folks that like someone who implemented the border code, like took the Firefox CSS border code and implemented it in JavaScript, and you know, it's just massive and stuff. And you'd need like a full-time team to build it. But it was just a fun experiment for us where like you have the canvas tag, and even within it you could have kind of DOM-y looking elements that define panels and things like that. But now we're backing away from that and using Scrapcore to kind of power the interface, and only using Canvas where it actually makes sense. So get it away.
Yeah. So here, I mean, you got simple file access thing. You can change projects, open files. Which one? For example, focus. Say, okay, I opened the HTML file, so you got this one here. Then there's a preview button. You can hit it, and it opens you the page you worked on. This is, for example, also Canvas, something about handling how to get focus working in Canvas. It's not that easy. Okay, so this is something about navigation. So, well, I mean, now you can edit files, you can have a command line to run commands, you can open files, but there's also an interesting question, how do you get files in and out again of cloud? Because otherwise, or in normal cases, you sit in front of your computer, every file is just there, you can just use it, but if it's in the cloud, you've got to access that file. In Bespin, there are 3 ways at the moment. One is you can download your files again, which is, well, possible but not that nice. There's a deploy function, which means it takes your project and sends it over VTP to a server and have it there. Or you can use CVS. So at the moment we support SVN and Mercurial, and GitHub or Git is on the to-do list for the reboot progress. Okay, and then we got this great collaboration feature, but Dion showed you that already. Okay, so that's just a little bit talk about Canvas and or Bespin in general and what we use Canvas for. Do you got questions about more technical things? I was not sure how much to dive in there or...
Would it be possible to use this just as an editor component? Because, as I see, it's really a whole system, including server, backend, and would it be possible to use it like, I don't know if you know Code Mirror, it's just a...
Yeah. So we have that. So like Atlas uses the embedded piece, and so that's how a lot of the people are actually using it. And I think that's going to be used much more than actually going to Bespin itself. And then with that, you'll be able to kind of choose the plugins you want for your particular instance and stuff.
Because I'm now using Code Mirror for a project, but it's actually pretty slow.
Yeah, exactly. We've had people that are just putting in a whole bunch of places, and you just want to make you literally script source, the embedded thing, the little thing, and we're going to make it easier.
Yeah, with this version there's no real embedded version supported. I mean, there is one, but it never get too much attention, and after reboot progress there should be the Bespin that runs on the server, and there should be an embedded version of Bespin, and real something like, oh, I want to have this plugin in there, and this plugin, and this plugin. It builds you just one JS file. You've got to plug it into your website and you're done. So that's what it should end up.
Yeah, so there's a set of themes that allow you to define. So it's like a default theme. If you did like set theme space white, it would change the white, and you can create your own. Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a mapping of like both the extensions. So the HTML, that's an HTML file, but you can also do custom things. So we have in there for our own thing. There's a config file which is called config, and we map that particular file to a particular set of things. You have full customization. So there actually were 2 different highlighters. The first one is it's not even regular expression. It's we've got this is like I talked about the performance problem. We thought like there's a real issue with Bespin in performance. The night before we did like the first initial preview launch, and we did some performance testing for copying in JavaScript. There's tons of JavaScript, and we were using this open source syntax highlighter, and it was doing like 500 regular expressions per line every time we were drawing it. So it's like, oh shit, this is crazy. But when we did the perf, it actually turned out, even though that was crazy, it had no effect. Which is what kind of showed, oh shit, we can do a lot of JavaScript with it. Anyway, we ripped that out and got a state machine one. It's like a very simple one. And that's what we have now, and it's kind of buggy because it's like a very simple system. And then someone else, Roberto Sacon from Brazil, took the Code Mirror one and forwarded that over. And then that got broken in the current state, and we'll hopefully get it back in the reboot. The goal is to enable Vim, Emacs, Xmap bundles to just work. We don't want to have our own one. We want to just, people have already sold this, so we can like enable it
And it should be possible after reboot process that you just provide your syntax highlighter as a plugin, and then you just add it somehow to Bespin, and then it works. So it should be really easy to extend Bespin in that direction. Okay. Oh, it's if you use collaboration, you first say, okay, I want to share this project, and then someone else says, okay, I want to follow this one who shared the project, and then you see it in your file browser. So because otherwise you just share it to the person, but that person might not be interested in it. If you say, well, I'm really interested in what this person is doing, you see all the shares that he offers to you.
And then the other thing that we want to add is the ability to, so we want to get like Brendan and I on this and say to him, okay, between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock, do your hacking investment and do it on the source and this other stuff, make it a public project so anyone can just follow it. And then we'll be able to sit there and just sit back and watch Brendan hacking on code. And like doing that kind of stuff.
You can see it real time.
See it in real time when he's doing it. And
Would
then,
you do everything in code?
so you can do read-only stuff, just kind of watch him do the stuff. You can also, you could do read-write, where like, you could share and write code and have, you want to have like chat style from line. And when you do that, kind of it ties the chat to what you do. So code comments are like these kind of things that get out of sync and things that happen. Like, we want to do things where like on this piece of code, we chat to someone about it, and that gets kind of tagged into that code and kind of saved. So if someone else comes along later, like, what about they did this function? You can like go over the function and see like the conversation that was had about it and stuff like that. So like really tie these things all together in interesting ways.
So it's also planned to add a feature like time machine to Bespin. That's something, well, yeah, plan, not sure if it ends like this, that you really can see, okay, I stepped away from the PC and who did some change afterwards on that file and maybe leave some comments. And you can see, well, that may be okay, so I take it over, but I want to get back to my state before because it just did crap otherwise. And so it's something like a VCS, but it's re-stepped or saves every state, and you can step forward and backward and add comments on that. That would be really, really social if we get that in.
So like wait for code.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How about if they wait this
So the Wave team, I know I work at Google, and I happen to know the Wave team really well. And so I met with them before Wave was public, and we kind of poked around with it. That may happen in the future, but right now they haven't open source, not because they don't want to, they just haven't gotten around to doing it all yet. The pieces that you would need to really make it possible. Because of the way that Wave works. But there is potential for that in the future. To do that kind of stuff.
Is your collaboration already cross servers, or is it all browsers and
Well, we can show it on sessions and stuff. But yeah, if we're collaborating together, it's not like a federated model.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
That's the Google way.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, it's just the stuff that we need together because our stuff is like optimized for code, and their stuff isn't. It's just like subtle weird things that happen. But it's all getting worked out. They're actually working on getting that stuff in the language.
Is there any work done or ideas on how to work with the local file system or finding something to the editor?
Yeah, so a few people played around with different local things. Someone is playing around with a titanium version, for example. And so I think we're going to see a local version coming probably like in 3 months or so. Like we see it. But yeah, that's
But I didn't necessarily meant to actually run application locally, and then if you somehow can edit your files in the same instance you're using all the time, I just try to local file system.
yeah. So right now you have to like about us, Malta,